Really?
Hi everybody, this is Linda Harlows and this is part 2 of guilt. And it might be a bit lengthy, so grab a cup of coffee and sit down and listen. In the introduction, you'll find out that I actually believe that there's two types of guilt. There's the real guilt and useless guilt. Useless guilt is what other people will throw on you because you're doing something different than them and they think their opinion is right and yours is wrong. Even if they are right, if you think you're doing what's right, and they're throwing guilt on you, they're trying to make you feel bad because you're doing something different, let it go. Surround yourself with a core bunch of people that you respect, that you think have wisdom, and listen to what they might say, but let all the other opinions on social media go, let what all the parents at the schools are saying go, and really focus on what you think is right or wrong. Understand you may have to change some of what you think is right or wrong as time goes. Be flexible and willing to do that, but only because somebody's come to you with a very logical reason of why you might want to try something different. But remember, what goes on in their house will be completely different than what goes on in your house. Even on my videos, I talk a lot about, if this doesn't work for you, that's okay. Because I have 6 unique different personalities in this house than what you will have in your house. We are all created so differently. We all have unique traits that there is no one way to parent. And so for you to feel guilty because your family isn't working the way the next door neighbor's family is working, let it go. What you need to be focusing on is making sure that you have a moral code that you believe in, that you have structured in your life. Be ready and willing to be flexible with that if somebody comes along with some good advice. But other than that, stick with what you know because you feel it's right. That's going to be tough enough to do. I'm going to give you some examples of useless guilt. I had a neighbor who came over and actually accused me of drugging my kids because my kids would go to bed so early. That was useless guilt. I talk a little bit about that in the first video. I have a daughter. A lot of who she is now are things that I've seen that she's developed while I was parenting her that were similar to mine, but an awful lot of her thought processes are different than mine. And I'm okay with that because the challenge in her developing into who she was worth it. It was a road that we both went down together. As a child, she challenged me on so many things, but the one example I'm going to give you today is about her sleep. She had gotten to a point where some reason she felt she could make bedtime extremely difficult, and she would cry every night for a long time. This went on for a long time. And I would sit at the top of the stairs every night feeling guilt that she was placing on me, that other people were placing on me, and that some of it was real. Because I couldn't figure out how to make her go to bed properly without all of this stress and strain she was putting on herself and me. I was usually in tears by the end of the night. She most definitely was in tears. But she would challenge me every single night. Eventually I had a friend come along and suggest a couple things. She suggested that maybe she just needed to be cuddled a little bit more. This daughter happens to be the one out of all of my kids who really, her love language isn't touch. It was always a fight to get her to come in and give the family hugs and kisses. And at bedtimes we would give hugs and kisses. And if we left the house, we'd give hugs and kisses. And it was always a fight to get her to do that. She was not the cuddly kind. And so when this person suggested this is what this child needed, I instantly thought she was wrong, but at this point I was ready and willing. It was somebody I did trust. I was ready and willing to take her advice, and she had actually shown me by example one thing that she did. And so at bedtime, from then on, we went up to the bedroom. I pulled her into the corner of the bed with me. I'd hug her from behind, not in front. Thought maybe that would make a difference, and I don't know, that might have been what it was. I sang her a song. I'd give her another hug and kiss as I left the room, and she went to sleep. And she went to sleep from then on with absolutely no problems. We did this little ritual for another year or two before she finally said, you know what, she didn't want that anymore. But what had happened is she was seeing the affection that was being given to the other children that we didn't give to her. And she assumed that that meant that we didn't love her as much as we loved them. Although we had backed off from giving it to her because she just didn't like it, she took it as something else. And it was a learning curve I had to learn. I was not going to give up on bedtimes. Bedtime was very important. This child, to this day, is one of my best sleepers, loves her bedtime. When she was a child, definitely needed 12 hours sleep. When she became older, as a teenager, she challenged me in every way a teenager would challenge. I've raised 4 of them. The other ones have challenged me, but not to this degree. She challenged me on her clothing, on what she could say, where she could go, what she could drink, if she could do drugs, the people she hung around, her schooling. The list goes on. And she challenged me in every single one of them. She fought with me all the time. I stuck very strong to what I felt was right or wrong in most cases. Very rarely did I give in. Did I create a rebellious child because I was so strict on some of this? Maybe. But when I was 52, she said this to me on my birthday. It was in writing. She did it in writing. She said, "Mom, I want to thank you for not being the mom I wanted you to be when I was 13. That doesn't fix any of the times I might have been wrong, but it sure did release me of a lot of guilt from some of the things that I did do, and how strong I was and how solid I was in what I felt was right and wrong and what I would allow her or not allow her to do." That girl released me from a lot of guilt. And from then on, I started realizing how much guilt I had actually been carrying on so many things. And I got to the point where I began to realize there is a difference in guilt. And some of it is good and some of it is bad. And I learned very quickly to release the bad. And I learned that the good guilt is there to teach me, to show me that maybe there's more I need to learn. Our children are given to us. They have unique individual personalities and traits about them that we will adore and or annoy us. And they are there to teach us. I believe the Creator gave them specifically to us to teach us. And I believe that we were given to our children to teach them. So because you are a certain type of person, if that's the opposite of what your child is, and you're doing what you think is right, and you have a moral code that you're living by, and you expect your children to do a certain thing, don't feel guilt. Learn that maybe there's another way to do it, but don't feel guilt for doing what you think is right. Let that go. Just keep trying your best. Keep loving your kids with all your heart. Keep trying to help them be the best people they can be. And in the long run, it'll all work out. So let go of the useless guilt. So hopefully I've helped you today. Hopefully it will help you release some of it. Please, as always, feel free to comment down below about any struggles you're dealing with, things that you might even have questions about. If we can, we'll get to you and answer you as quickly as we can. Maybe other people can comment on your questions and help you. We hope you have an awesome day.